Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. My name is Issue3D and I'm going to be walking you through today. This is probably going to be the first video tutorial you'll ever do because we're just going to be creating very simple entities and very simple brush objects, and we're just going to do a tiny little bit of texturing. I just want to give an overall feel for people so they know what they're doing basically. 'Cause some people pick up the program and don't even know how to move around in the viewports. So this is hopefully going to clarify quite a lot of things. To start off with, I'm going to create an entity. I'm just going to come over here to the left and click on my entity tool. Now I'm just going to hold down my mouse 1 button inside my top viewport, and as you can see I'm holding down my mouse 1 button here, and I can move it around. Once I let go then it's deactivated, but I can come down and click it again and then move it again. I'm just going to move it up a bit so I can see this blue line, and I'm going to put it exactly in the center. The first thing we're ever going to create, which is quite weird, is called a prop. Let's use prop stack. Now I've got that selected, I can press enter in my viewport, and that's going to create the entity. I'm just going to come over to my select tool so I can select things so I'm not creating entities. If I try moving around with this tool activated, then I'll start creating entities all over the place, and I obviously don't want to do that. Now I'm just going to zoom in, and I'm just going to press Alt, my left Alt key, and enter. This is going to bring up the parameters of the entity. I'm just going to come down to my world model because I'm not really going to talk through what all these do at the moment because you don't really need to know. I'm just going to teach you a basic thing just to help you with your scales inside of Hammer, and you'll probably understand later on, but at the moment you might be a bit muddled up. But anyway, right, just come over to world model and I'm just going to browse. It's going to bring up all my models inside my database. I'm just going to go to humans, no I'm not. I'm going to go to characters, hostage 4. I'm just going to click apply. Yep, now it's applied. Now I'm just going to click cancel to close that. Now if I select this tool with mouse 1, and then I'm holding down mouse 1 now, as you can see, then I've activated a crosshair in my viewport, and I'm just going to use my mouse wheel to move backwards. Now I want to start moving around. I'll just basically teach you how to move around in this viewport. Hold down mouse 1 to activate the viewport first of all. And now I can move forward with W, I can move backwards with S, I can move left with A, and I can move right with D. If I want to pan around, then I can hold both my mouse buttons, mouse 1 and mouse 2, and pan around like that. And I can hold mouse 2 to pan around in this direction. Hopefully that should help. Now, as you can see, I've created this hostage. I mean, you're probably like, well, why do I need that? But I'm just going to press Alt and enter again. I'm just going to click on model. I'm just going to come down to here to idle. Now press apply and press cancel. Now I've got, it might feel a bit weird, like why has he done that? I mean, you don't even really need it, but it'll help you with your scaling to like make sure that everything's at this height and make sure that objects, that a player can run through an object and stuff like that. It's just an easy reference really. Now let's get into creating brushes. I'm just going to come over here and activate this tool, and I'm going to hold down mouse 1 and drag it out about 512 by 512. Yeah, that'll do. Now I'm just going to use my mouse wheel to zoom out in this viewport, and I'm going to bring this up to about 320, I think. Yeah. Now I'm just going to press enter, and that's going to create the object. I'm just going to come to my camera and just move backwards as I was telling you before. Now as you can see, this is a block, and if I go inside it, then it's still solid. I mean, I haven't got any empty space in there, so I'm going to need to hollow this out. I'm just going to come to tools and make hollow. By default it'll be set to 32, but I want you to bring it down to 16. Try using 16 quite a lot because 32 is quite hard to work with. One sec, I'll just show you. Like as you can see, the walls are quite thick and dense, so I'm just going to undo that, make hollow by 16, and now can you see how they're thinner? This just makes it easier to work with later on, do you know, when you're trying to put brushes together and stuff like that, because you really don't want to be working with thick walls because they just get in the way and everything. Right, now I'm just going to come side into my objects, and as you can see now, then I've got a square area with my hostage inside. Now I'm going to create a light. A light's going to basically illuminate the whole room, so I'm just going to do, if there's an entity, I'm just going to select this entity tool, hold down mouse 1 and drop it wherever I want it, then I'm just going to come down to my side viewport to make sure it's in the right place, and because it's a light I'm going to have it at the top. Now I'm just going to filter through these and just type light just to quickly get to it, and then press enter. Now I'm just going to use my camera so I can see it, and as you can see this is a light entity. I'm just going to press Alt, remember it's your left Alt key, and enter, and that's going to bring up the parameters. Now we're just going to do a little bit of entity work, and we're just going to start changing the brightness, well, the colour of the actual light. I'm just going to click on brightness and I'm going to go pick colour. I don't want it solid white, so let's come, this is like your standard light that I'm going to do now. You drop it around about there so it's in between grey and yellow but not too much yellow, and then bring it down to about there. Add this colour to your database and press OK. Now I think, yep, that'll do that. Now I'm just going to click apply, and as you can see, did you see the colour change on this? Then that's just telling me that everything's been applied to it now basically. Now I'm just going to click cancel, and I'm just going to come down here so I can see what we've done so far. And at the moment my walls are they're crap. We need some textures on these, they're kind of boring, so I'm just going to come to my texture application tool, click once with mouse 1, and I'm going to select this wall. Just select it by single clicking once, and if I want to select multiple walls I hold down control, my right hand control button, and select them. This just makes it easier for when you're selecting other things. Now let's apply texture. So I'm just going to click on this browse button, and this is going to bring up my texture database. If I was looking through all these it'd take me God knows how long, because if you can see this scroll bar there, a lot of textures, and these are only the Counter-Strike source textures. These I haven't even got any Half-Life 2 textures yet. Now I'm just going to filter them by typing conc. Conc is basically concrete, so it's obviously going to bring up them. If you look at the names and you get used to all these names, then you can quickly filter out textures and stuff like that, and it just makes your job a lot easier. Let's go with this one. I'm just going to apply that, and as you can see then it's very large. I mean, this wall's quite big compared to this person, but look at the texture, it's huge. So I'm just going to scale it down to 0.5. By default in Half-Life 2, then for some reason the textures, how can I explain it? Every single texture in Half-Life 2 pretty much is 2000 by 2000 pixels, and if these are scaled to 1 then they're going to appear very large and pixelated on a wall. So you need to bring these down pretty much all the time. So now, as you can see, I've scaled the texture, but now I'm cutting into the bottom of it. So I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to click center. Crap. Right. Instead, I'm going to click fit. That's going to fit the texture to the wall, but it's also going to spread it out in the opposite direction. And I need to bring this down, so 0.56. Now they're perfectly scaled. Now that's perfectly scaled to the wall. And if I select this texture and then I use my mouse 2 button and I click on the opposite wall, then it'll copy that texture and all its parameters over to the other wall. Now I'm just going to close this panel out, come into my camera mode, just turn around a bit, make sure I can still see this texture here, come back to my texture parameters thing, select this and mouse 2 on both of these walls. Now we're going to want to create a roof and a ceiling, so I'm just going to select these, remember holding the right hand control button to select multiple surfaces. Now I'm just going to click to browse, and we're just going to find a basic texture. Something that's going to correspond to a floor rather than a wall, like that. I'm just going to apply this, and as you can see, yet again the tiles are huge, so I'm just going to bring this down to 0.25. 0.25 is pretty much the default size, but you can use 0.5 sometimes. It's quite hard. You get used to using textures later on, but at the moment let's just stick with these. I'm just going to close that out, and as you can see I've now got a floor and a ceiling. I've got a light and I've got a person. But let's get more in depth about these textures and stuff like that. So as you can see at the moment my grid's quite large. Let's try and square it up. And if I wanted to create a brush, then I'd be stuck on these axes, and I'm like, oh my god, this sucks, I want to create a smaller object. So if you click on this button here, then it'll bring down your grid. This is just so you can create objects in smaller areas. To start with, I'm just going to create an object on the floor. It's going to be about 16 high. Oh no, in fact I'll go with 8. 8's a bit thinner. Now I'm just going to press enter, and as you can see it's put texture on the floor. I'm just going to click back to my select tool. And now I want to cut this because I want to like create a space on the floor basically. And I want to create somewhat of a road. I mean, this room isn't going to make sense, but it's just going to get used to texturing. Now, as you can see, I've just pressed mouse 1 to select my clipping tool, and now I'm just going to hold down my mouse 1 and bring it down. As you can see, this box here is selected, but this one isn't. This is all red. Like if I press enter now, as you can see, did you see how it cut it off? So I'm just going to undo. I'm going to select the object again, and I'm going to come back to my clipping tool. I'm going to hold it down the same as before, but as you can see, then it's done the same again where one half selected. So I'm just going to click once on the clipping tool, and as you can see, then it's altering like what it cuts basically. If I do this one, the red area is going to get cut off. The red area is going to get cut off again. If I do this one, then it's not going to cut anything off, and it's just going to slice the object. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to do exactly the same again on this side. Just going to press enter. Now I'm just going to come to my select tool. I'm going to select this middle object, and I'm going to press delete on my keyboard, not backspace. Now if I come to my camera tool and just zoom in a bit here, then I've got like a curb area here, and I want to put a nice little texture on this to make it look quite nice. So I'm just going to come to my texture parameters, thingamabob, face, whatever. Select this, go to browse, and then go to curb. It's going to bring up all the curbs, and let me just find a nice curb that I like. This one's quite nice. I'm just going to click apply. And as you can see, yet again the texture is really large. So I'm just going to scale it down to 0.25 by 0.25. Now I'm just going to click the center button, so it just centers it up on the object, and it corresponds with the texture kind of thing. I mean, I can apply it to the bottom, so the bottom of the texture is stuck on the bottom. I can the left, so it's the left hand side. The top, so the top of the texture is up there. But anyway, I'm just going to center it. In fact, one sec. Yeah, I thought so. I'm just going to bring this down 0.13. Now, oh, one sec. Right, I'm just going to walk you through what I did again. Just get rid of that texture. Right, come back to the curb, and I'm applying this texture. Now I want this texture to fit perfectly, because as you can see, this is the top of it and this is the bottom, so I want them to fit perfectly. So I'm just going to click fit, and this is going to fit the texture, but it's also going to stretch it out in the X direction, as you can see, because it's going to fit it to the whole brush, the whole face, should say. So if I scale this down to 0.13, then it's going to apply that perfectly. Like if I come to the end, as you can see, then it's not stretched out, and it's perfect pretty much. Now that's on there, I'm just going to in fact, I'll choose texture again. I'm just going to click mouse 1 to select this, and mouse 2 again just to copy this texture onto the top. And I'm just going to close that out. Now yet again I want to put this texture across there, so I'm just going to copy it across. Now, let's create some boxes. Right, pretend this is like a hallway, and some people are like fighting down this hallway, and you want something to block the way basically. So we're just going to hold down mouse 1 whilst with the brush tool selected, obviously. I'm just going to create a box. I'm just going to create this box just in the grid here, just so I can get quite a nice shape. A perfect square, should I say. Now I'm just going to go to the browse. Whilst I've got that, I haven't pressed enter, remember. I'm just going to go to box. I'm not quite sure if these are any box textures are. Yeah, there we go. See any better box textures? They're crap. And now I've got that selected, I'm just going to press enter. Now if I come around, as you can see, that texture's been applied to that. Any object I create now, like if I created another box, and I selected, let's try and find another box texture. I'll just click on this, and I'll just bring the texture size down. Okay, I haven't got any more box textures. That sucks. Well, anyway, I'm just going to close that out, and I'm just going to press enter again, and as you can see, then the same textures on that. Now, I'm just going to select both of these objects. Now I've got both of these selected, I'm going to click on my texture application thingamabob. And as you can see, I've still got the faces selected. Like if I came to this one, and this one, and then I came to texture application, I'd still have all these selected. So I'm just going to come do that again, and I'm going to fit. That's going to fit every single texture on that object, because as you can see, it's got them all on. Now I'm just going to select this, and I'm just going to move it down here. And well, we might want to rotate this, and we don't want it basic, because if you look at this, then they kind of just correspond with each other and they're very linear. So let's just get rid of that. Right, I'm just going to select the object. I'm just going to click in the area again, and as you can see, these are changing. So I can rotate it, and then when I let go, then it's going to rotate the object. I'm just going to undo that. And if I go to this one, this is quite a handy tool later on when you get used to using hammer, but it's going to stretch the object. So if I do that, then it's going to stretch the object. If I undo that, I can do it in this direction as well, and I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Now I'm just going to click on the object again and then just rotate it around. I'm just going to, in fact, I'll show you something else with these. Right, can you see this little button up here? It's called texture lock. If I take this off, and now I come over to this and I rotate it, watch what happens. Oh my god, the texture's gone all over the place. I mean, if I came to this and I clicked fit, then still the texture's gone all over the place. So I'm just going to undo and undo again. Now if I've got this on, then it's going to keep all the textures. Like if I move this object, the texture's still there. But if I turn it off and I move the object, then the texture's moving. So I'm just going to undo that. I'm just going to put it back on. I'm just going to click once in it, and then I'm going to rotate it again. Now we've got two boxes, a little room, a light, and a person. But we still haven't got a player spawn. So I'm just going to click to the entity tool. I'm just going to click in this area. I'm just going to put it near about down the floor. And I'm just going to put info player counter terrorist. Now with that there, I'm just going to press enter, and it's going to create this entity. Unlike him, you can't really tell how large he is or whatever, but whenever you join a server or you start up your map, that's going to be your first starting location. You can also create terrorist ones, so I'm just going to do the same again. Just going to put him about there, and info player terrorist, press enter, and that's going to create a terrorist. So now I've got a counter terrorist and a terrorist. I can get rid of this hostage now. I'm just going to select him and press delete, and then that should pretty much conclude this. Oh, one sec. When you want to, how can I explain it? Before you start up your map and before you start doing everything, then you need to compile it. This is basically going to get all the light and stuff like that and compile it all into a BSP, and then so you can run it. So I'm just going to go to File and Run. It's going to, oh no, it's not. It's going to bring up a save window, and I need to save my map before I can load it and stuff like that. So I'm just going to call it VT. In fact, I'll save over that one. I'm going to call it VT Basic Room. Now, when you, by default, I think this will look like that. But Viz is your lighting, so you obviously want that doing. And Rad, oh, what is that again? I can't remember what it is. It's been so long ever since I used Hammer. But anyway, you want them all set to normal, and then press OK. And now it's just going to come up and it's going to be compiling your map as it goes along. Just give it a little bit of time. Now, as you can see, it says copy to clipboard, so it's finished. Now I'm just going to click X, and now it's done. If you have set up Hammer properly and you've set it to, and you've put your BSP maps inside your Counter-Strike source folder, Counter-Strike source maps folder, should I say, then you should be able to just create a server, and then your map will be inside your list called VT Basic Room. So that's how you run it. I'd run it, but I can't show you because Camtasia doesn't actually show like rendering stuff thingamabob. Anyway, I think that's going to pretty much conclude this video tutorial, so I'll see you later. And I've just brought up the wrong window.